Hello, everyone. It's Stephen Williams, founder and president of the CreditRepairShop.com. And that's right, 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. In this video, I'm going to talk about some things that you could do if you find yourself in that situation. Now, on this news report, and there's been several news outlets that have reported on this actually on August 24th, 2017, which is when the stories came out. You might be shocked to know that 10% of the 78% of those people are making $100,000 a year. Some of them making over $120,000 a year, and they cannot make ends meet. And that goes back to the old saying that no matter how much money you have, if you do not manage that money, you will find yourself in financial trouble. And so let's talk about solutions. We already know the problem. Let's talk about solutions. The first thing that people have to do, and this goes back into it was a short book by Wallace D. Wattles, and he talks about the science of getting rich. And one of the chapters in there, it talks about doing things the way that people that are successful do things. And now we don't have to talk about getting rich. Let's just talk about people that manage their money. They don't just have it in their mind saying that I got to pay this bill, that bill, that bill, that bill. They write it all down on a piece of paper. I write all of my any bills that I have, any expenses that I have on for employees, for the company, for my personal expenses. I write all of that down, and I actually put it into an Excel file. But let's just talk about a simple way of doing it. It's just to write it down on a piece of paper and be proactive about knowing where you're at financially. A lot of people don't do it because they don't want to know where they're at, because if they were to look at it on paper, they might have a heart attack because they're like, I'm way in over my head. So they don't want to know. They run from it. So the first thing is to write everything down on a piece of paper, all of your expenses, everything that you pay money on. The easiest way to go and find that out, because a lot of people come up with an excuse, well, how am I going to find out how much I owe? Get all of the statements of everything that comes to you in the mail. Look at your rent, if you're paying rent, your electric bill, everything. And then you need to put another column of everything that you spend money on, like if you go and get coffee every morning, if you eat lunch at work every day, if you go to the movies, if you drink alcohol, whatever. You need to write all of that down on a piece of paper. Easy way to do that is to, for 1 week, you write down all of the expenses on things that you do know. You can look back in your checkbook to see what you wrote checks on for your household expenses. And then the next week, what you can do is just keep the receipt of everything that you spend, groceries, going to lunch, movies, whatever. Keep all of those receipts. Just put them in your pocket when you spend it. And then on that Saturday or that weekend, you and your wife, if you're married, sit down and you just write down everything that you spent money on. And you're going to see that you're really wasting a lot of your money on unnecessary things. So now once you do that, once you know where you are at financially on what you have to come up with every month just to survive, and you need to put together a plan of action to, number one, put aside some money aside for emergencies. A lot of people use their credit cards for emergencies, and that's not the way to do things. You don't want to go into debt when you have an emergency. So the first thing that you need to do is to figure out a way to save money. Well, I'm about to give you a solution that I used. What you can do is everything, if you're not behind on your payments, such as your car payment, your mortgage, second mortgage, credit cards, department store cards, payday loans, any of those type of consumer debts that you have, what you could do, if you're not behind, or if you're maybe behind by 30 days or so, you can contact each of those companies one by one, ask to go to speak to someone in their hardship department, and ask for a payment deferral of of those monthly payments for as many months as you can get. Some companies will do 30 days, some companies do 60 days. I've even seen companies do it for up to 90 and 6 months. It just depends on what type of company it is. It's in their best interest to do it because if you tell them that you have a plan of action that you're putting together to get yourself back in shape financially, they're going to be more willing to listen to that because they don't want you to go and file bankruptcy, or they don't want to not get paid. And but you have to put together a plan of action to do this, to be successful doing this. So after you do that, the money that you save from not paying payments, you don't want to go out and blow that money. You don't want to go and spend that money on unnecessary things. What you want to do is you want to pay down your smallest debts with that money, and also put aside $1,000 or $2,000 for an emergency fund if any car repairs are needed or anything that comes up. So that's how you put cash into your pocket to stabilize your situation without going out and borrowing money from friends, family, or going to get loans or refinancing and going into more debt. So that's tip number one on stabilizing your financial situation. Now, if you have debt collectors calling you right now, which one thing that goes hand in hand, if a person is struggling financially, they usually owe somebody money and they're not paying on it. If you have debt collectors calling you, the number one thing is that you should not allow them to call your neighbors, your job, anything, because they can put your employment in jeopardy. So what you need to do is to get a cease and desist letter, mail that to them, and tell them that you only want them to communicate with you in writing. And that's very important, because if you get them on the phone, or if they get you on the phone, they can make you say something that is not in your best interest. So you want to just communicate with them in writing so you can read everything and you can evaluate what they're asking you. You never want to admit to anything on a debt. Now, if you owe an original creditor debts, of course, if they have all the contractual information, you know you owe that debt. But if it's something that was purchased by a debt collection company, you want to make them prove everything about that debt. And so you have a cease and desist letter, and they cannot threaten to put you in jail or anything. You have these smartphones, put them to use. Record anytime that you're on the phone with a debt collector. They're recording you, but if they say something that is against the law, all of a sudden their recordings may disappear. So the next one here, and I call this 3 words that you can say in court or over the phone to a debt collector, is that you don't know or you don't remember that specific debt that they're talking about, and that you would like them to send you all the documentation proving that you owe that debt. Now they try to do this. By sending you what's called a 30-day request letter, a dunning letter, in the mail, asking you to pay the debt. A lot of people see that as a bill, but if you read it clearly, it states that if you believe that this debt is not yours, you have 30 days to dispute it. If you don't dispute it in that 30 days, you are actually telling the courts, you're telling them that you owe the debt, and that gives them the right to put that information on your credit reports. So what you want to do when you're dealing with a debt collection company, not the original creditor, you want to ask them to send all the proof that you owe that debt and that you owe that debt to them. This is called a validation request. And when you send that, you want them, and you do not want to provide your information to them. So if they call you on the phone, you just tell them, send it to you in writing, and then you make the validation request back to them in writing for the debt. And you do not want to provide them your social security number or work stuff or any references, anything. You want them to provide you that information when you do the validation of the debt. And then we're going to talk about it at the end here, when you're dealing with an original creditor that may have had a debt that they never turned over to a debt collector, but they're still coming after you for the debt. There are some remedies for even dealing with original creditors. The next one, let's talk about 10 things that you should never say or do when dealing with Debt collectors. You number one, don't fall for commercials promising to eliminate your debt. There's a lot of commercials that are going on out there. They're talking about if you owe this $10,000 or more to credit card companies. Let me tell you basically what they do. They cannot promise. No one, I can't. No one can promise you. No attorney. I don't care who they are. They could be Johnny Cochran, one of the best attorneys in the world. No one can make any other company take a settlement amount that they don't want to accept. All we can do is propose a settlement amount. But so these companies, this is what they do. They want you to stop making your credit card payments, and what they do is they put that money into an escrow account, so you're making the payments to them, and then after 8 months or a year or whatever, they're going to propose to that credit card company a settlement. Now, what if the company does not accept that offer? Then you're out of luck. You're in trouble. They're going to go and garnish your wages if they haven't even already started the process of garnishing your wages. And then also, what one thing that I found, because we deal with thousands of customers every year, one thing that I found is that these companies actually hope that you fall out of the program, because in their contract, if you fall out of the program, they get to keep the money as a fee for managing that account. They will keep your money, because if you do not, if you're having trouble making the credit card payments, how in the hell are you going to continue paying a lawyer or some firm an escrow for the credit card payment that you're going to try to settle in the future? They're nothing but scams. Stay away from them. The next thing is, don't call a creditor about a settlement that you don't have the money for. So if you want to settle an account, don't call them unless you have the money ready, because if you're going to get a settlement, especially if you're going to do a one-time settlement, they're going to request that the money is there within 10 days. At the longest, they might give you 20 days. The next thing is, don't settle making monthly payments unless it's regarding your house or transportation, or if you have medical bills, because you know it's just something that you have to do, or if you just believe that it's going to put you back on track financially. Like, never make a payment arrangement unless you can afford the payment arrangement, because it's going to just put you into a bad situation. And when you're evaluating making a payment arrangement with that creditor, don't make the don't just think about it on the payment that they're accepting. Look at it with the complete picture of your financial situation. The next thing is, don't trust their words. Always get it in writing, because these guys are snakes, and they'll pretend like they didn't say things. Recordings will disappear. So you want to always get everything in writing. When you make a settlement, don't send it from your personal checking account. You should always send a cashier's check to them, and you want to never get them your account numbers. The next thing is, in the memo of the cashier's check, you want to put the everything about the memo. In the memo area, you want to put the account number for them, the account number for the original creditor in that memo section, and for what it was for. Include the settlement letter when you send the check back to them, and also make a copy of that, and then allocate, if they say that you need to get the check to them in 10 days, make sure that you get it there in 10 days. I would always send it certified mail to make them sign for it, because that's a trick that they use. They consider that window a contract, and if you don't get it there in that time frame, some of them may say that the deal is off the table, and they'll take your check and they'll use their contract that they sent to you, saying that you were going to get it there in 10 days and that you didn't get it there in 10 days, and now they're going to just take your payment as a payment on the whole original balance. Let's see the next one. Send it certified mail so you can have evidence if anything else comes up in the future. and make a copy of the cashier's check or the money order pertaining to the settlement. You want to keep that information at all times. Put it in your safe because you never know if they try to, if someone else gets their hands on it and they try to send out a letter saying that you owe the debt. And I'm getting this information from a book, small booklet that I wrote years ago. That's where I got this information on there. Now, number 5, the one state law, and this goes back to the original creditors, the one state law that all states have that can actually get you out of paying anything on a debt. And what that is the statute of limitations. Every state is different with statute of limitations. North Dakota has the best. That means that an oral or written or an open agreement, if you have a contract agreement or an open agreement or an oral agreement with a company or an individual, they have 3 years to collect on that. Now, this is where it gets a little sticky. They have to have not contacted you for that period of time, and then that agreement could be null and void, and you can use that. And this is something that is, when it comes to companies buying old credit card accounts, and you remember that that credit card was something that you had maybe 15 or 20 years ago, you could use that information with the statute of limitations to actually challenge back either in court or with that debt collection company that account is past statute of limitations. So now I want to get you more information, because if you want to know more about, let's just say that you have garnishments, you're trying to buy a house, you're trying to get your credit back in shape, you wondering why your scores are not going up, you wondering why your scores are going down, you're dealing with debt collector issues, you're dealing with original creditor issues. I've made a whole bunch of videos that I want to give you access to. And if you click the link that's either above or below this video, or if you go to thecreditrepairshop.com, and that's www.thecreditrepairshop.com, and at the bottom of my website, I have a free membership, especially for you, that you could watch the whole collection of all of my debt elimination and credit repair and score raising and how to buy a house, how to deal with repossessions. I've put all of those videos in a collection, and you can get a free membership right now by going there. So go to www.thecreditrepairshop.com. Go to the bottom of my website, and you can see where it says get your free membership, 100% free. Get your free membership. All you have to do is register, and then you'll have access to a whole bunch of videos pertaining to debt, credit, everything. Or you can just click the link that might be above or below this video. And again, thank you for your time. This is Stephen Williams, founder and president of thecreditrepairshop.com. Thank you.